Hey everybody, welcome back. Our topic for this week is e-commerce. Things to watch out for in your e-commerce project. This is really all about planning for the pitfalls that are going to be out there and identifying the red flags that signal you've got something coming up that is potentially going to derail your project. So e-commerce is complex and every business is different. I think I've said more than once in previous videos here that e-commerce is not a website. E-commerce is a business, and the website is a component of that business, but more than anything, you need to understand that the website itself exists to mirror the actual practices of your business, so that what it's doing in its functions is mirroring in reality how you guys go about your business, how you fulfill your orders, how you sell things, right? So some of the things I want to talk about here essentially just go back, all the way back to just think it through. And I mean, think it all the way through. Sit down and come up with a use case, start to finish, of who your customers are, how they place orders on your site, how that order gets fulfilled, and try and really put yourself in the shoes of everyone who's involved in that transaction and how they're going to experience it. So some things that jumped out at me right away as things to pay special attention to are multi-part orders. So this is any time you've got an order that's going to ship in different pieces. It could ship in different pieces because of different availability of the items. They could come from different vendors. And who fulfill those orders could be different. If you're doing drop shipping, someone else could be fulfilling part and you're fulfilling part. This brings into things multiple origin shipping. Think about where products are shipping from. Do you need to be presenting people with different quotes based on where things are shipping from? And then when you're thinking about the drop shipping portion of things, think about the communication about the order throughout the process. So if you're fulfilling part of the order, when you send it out, you mark it as shipped. Your website sends out an email to somebody that says your order is shipped, it's on its way. But you need to know when your drop shipper fulfills the order, so people get a communication about that as well. And you need to be able to split the order up into multiple parts so they can get multiple communications about the different pieces of their order. They've got to understand that that's how it's being fulfilled, that's how it's coming to them. This can go all the way down to things like your shipping labels. Depending on how your site is set up, especially if you're doing a vendor marketplace where multiple vendors are selling through the same sites, you want to think about if that vendor is ultimately the one fulfilling it, even though they bought it on my site, and they're generating the shipping labels and things from my site, are they able to generate their own unique labels? When they go to generate the shipping quotes, is it based on that vendor's location or is it based on the location of the main site? How are you handling your warehousing? Do you warehouse all your products yourselves? Are they in different locations? Do you do all drop shipping? So these are the kinds of considerations you need to think about on the fulfillment end. Some other technical things you want to bear in mind are the availability of technical resources for particularly drop shipping and bringing other people's product catalogs onto your site, especially when you're doing a lot of retail work. You've got a lot of different vendors' catalogs on the site, and vendors' catalogs change. Their pricing changes. What is available or not available changes. So for pricing, I think it's important that your pricing not be arbitrary, but that you have a formula for how your pricing works compared to the vendor's pricing. This is essentially the difference between the cost and the price. The cost is what the vendor is providing you with and saying, this is what we charge for this item. From there, it's up to you to decide on what the price is going to be that you sell it for on your site. But if you find yourself in a position where you go, oh, well, this item sells for this much, this item sells for this much, and you're just kind of, putting it together on the fly as it seems appropriate to you, that may work okay in the short run, but in the long term, especially if there's a large number of products and SKUs and things involved, what happens when that vendor changes their pricing and their costs change? if you've made a number of arbitrary decisions about how you're going to price things on your site, now you're going to have to go and either you're going to take a cut on your profits, or you're going to have to go through and arbitrarily update them all. If you're thinking ahead and formulating pricing based on percentages plus flat rates, fees, etc., however you want to structure them, make sure you've got a clear structure in mind so that you can head those issues off. But the tools that are going to allow you to do that are going to be the ability to connect to other pieces. One way we do that is sort of the more modern way would be via API. But there are older methods where there are a lot. E-commerce is as far as internet businesses go, none of this is ancient days. But even something that's as old as a couple decades ago is on the internet ancient. And these processes, these retailers have existed and have had computer systems and fulfillment systems that predate the modern web. And in a lot of times, they're not going to have an API. So you're going to need to know, okay, if they don't have that available, how are we communicating with them? How are we automating this process? How are we pulling stuff from them? So are they familiar with flat file methods of transfer of information? Are they used to doing things via EDI, and can they communicate to you how their EDI process works? So understanding what that is and how it's going to work, and making sure that both the vendors you work with and your developer are on the same page about how those communications are going to take place is critical. All of this, though, just goes back to, we're trying to handle the ongoing maintenance of your product catalog. It's changing, and you need to be able to keep it up to date and add and remove products as they become available or not, change pricing as those things change. Product options could change, anything from colors or sizes of your product that are available to different variations. And as all of those things change, you need an automatic process in place that's going to keep this stuff up to date. Now, how automatic is that? It depends on your business. Some businesses, maybe you work with vendors and their product catalog doesn't change very often, and you can get away with manually re-importing their product catalog, once a month, once a quarter. But in other cases, you may have, dynamic, retail industries where the product catalogs are changing, every week or every day. And when that's the case, how are you going to stay on top of those changes so that your site is up to date with the latest products and the latest pricing and isn't slowly falling out of date? Because as it falls out of date, then every single order that comes in when that information isn't accurate becomes a customer service problem that you've got to deal with. So all of this is, again, just a reminder to say, think about e-commerce. E-commerce is your whole business. It's not just a website, it's a business. Think about it as a business. Think about the stakeholders in that business. Put yourself in the shoes of all of the people working through this process. And I know that's kind of a long answer just to say, think it through, but I think if you really focus on taking that to heart and doing your best to really do a little bit of role playing about this stuff and think about who's doing what and how they're engaging with it, that you're going to identify more potential pitfalls and catch more of those warning signs before they're active problems for you. Okay, that's going to do it for our topic today. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.